Hello everybody, welcome to a pop-up live. Now this is a test tonight, so I'm going to need your assistance here because you may have noticed I've got this here. This is a test for a new microphone. Drew's got one as well. He can't join us tonight, but we will be testing this kit out. So essentially it's a little test tonight to see what the audio quality is like with this. So if you can let me know that you can hear it fine and there's no echo and anything like that, then hopefully this will be the way forward. So I thought whilst we're doing this tonight, we'll actually get on with some actual modeling as well. Good evening, Ivan Jensen Taylor. Hello. Yeah, so we'll kind of get on with some things and we'll test the audio on this. Ivan says the audio sounds excellent, very clear. Jolly good. Right. Okay. Well, Tim Campbell says sounds loud and clear, no echo. Brilliant. Okie dokie. I mean, we are also on the HD stream at the moment, although I've got to get a better camera for this because my Logitech isn't up to the task, unfortunately. But anyway, let's go on with some modeling. And what are we doing tonight? Well, I've let this dry over the weekend. I'm going to go back over this kind of very basic base layer I did on this Rubicon Chevy 156 scale Chevy. I'm going to go back over with it with some more of the AK Light Stone, which I have already got pre-mixed in my airbrush here, and that has been mixed with ratios. Goodness me, people are always saying, what's the best thinning ratio? The best thinning ratio is whatever works for the paint, air pressure and airbrush you have. I'm thinning this with the standard Tamiya lacquer thinner, and I have quite literally thinned it until it sprays nicely. More importantly, it sounds nice as well. So there's no kind of rasping or kind of like, you know, farting sounds coming out of the airbrush. I've also mixed in with that a soupçon of, I'm just trying to find it here, a soupçon of Tamiya X35 semi-gloss clear, which you can mix with the AK paints. They are totally compatible. I know some people will flinch at that, but yeah, let's get spraying and let's see if we can knock back this shading that I did with the Ammo shaders. Now these are very good, but I get the feeling they don't like being put under paint. All part of an experiment. So we've got the windows are all open here and we're spraying at a fairly low pressure. So now, I don't want to get rid of all of this shading because I actually, for a change, wouldn't mind going for a slightly more exaggerated, more stylized look. I think it's going to upset some people, but I think sometimes you do just need to shift your technique just to try new ideas. And if it doesn't work, you know what to do it next time. Now these AK real color paints, they spray beautifully, but they do dry very, very, very matte. So you do need to kind of put some kind of either mix a clear in with them or a clear on top, a semi-gloss, because when it comes to applying washes and things, that's actually gone a little bit heavy in there. If you can see, it's a little bit glossy, but that will, the lacquer will flash off very quickly. When it comes to doing washes and pin washes, they do flow better on a slightly kind of satiny, smoother surface. So I do tend to either overcoat them with a semi-gloss clear, or I'll mix in some clear with it. I'm being a little bit conservative with my spraying at the moment after that faux pas there. I'm not going to worry too much about the interior because I've got a figure going in there, and most of that will be covered when I get around to brush painting the upholstery. And as ever, when it comes to kind of pre-shading, people say, oh, they're not painted like that. Yes, they're not painted like that. But modeling is, if not sometimes, as much an artistic pursuit as it is a pursuit in accuracy and realism. As the saying goes, your workbench, your rules. Ups a daisy. Now I have gone a little bit heavy there, and it has flooded a bit there. Live mistakes on the internet. But we will, the beauty about lacquers is they will flash off very, very quickly. And so you can go back and correct those mistakes after literally a few seconds. But as I say, I don't want to get rid of this shading entirely. Purely a subjective decision. I do want to have something to work with when I come around to doing the washing and everything else on this. So bear with, I'm just... Let's let that dry for a few seconds. Now, I've got the figures here. These are beautiful, absolutely stunning. I mean, I would say they are as good as, or even to some extent, kind of rival those that Tamiya are putting out at the moment. They are absolutely stunning. Just notice this chap here, still got a mold seam line running across his cap there. So what we're going to do is, ta-da! My beautiful Infinity sanders. I'm just going to go in there and get rid of that. As I said the other night, these things are so precise that you can actually do quite delicate work with them. Unfortunately, the not so HD camera here isn't really picking this up. But hey ho, we are on the lookout for a much better high definition camera. So there we go. That's him sorted. So yeah, so while I've got this light stone out, I may as well prime the figures with it. They have a coat of Tamiya grey primer, but for figure painting and the uniforms, doesn't hurt to have a very similar tone. So let's just backflush that a bit. Now, roughly the mix on this is about, it's about 40% paint and about 60% thinner. The beauty of lacquer thinners, and this includes Tamiya's lacquer thinner and the Mr. Colour ones, is they flash off very quickly. So to some extent, you can let the thinner do the heavy lifting. And what that will mean is you do get smoother coats. It does require slightly more coverage. But as you can see here, I'm working this figure. Now we've got the paint down, it's sticking paint to paint. But once they do go down, they are just beautifully smooth and hardy as well. So everybody's happy with the audio. That's jolly good. That's excellent. Right, well, we'll give him a rest for a while. And we'll give this chap a go. Again, absolutely beautiful sculpt. Oh, if only Rubicon got into other scales. Oh, this is the Fender FE 183K airbrush here, by the way. So I do believe in putting my mouth where my money is. And I'm continuing to use this until it fails. At the moment, it has not failed. It has proved itself to be a remarkably versatile and reliable airbrush for the ridiculous price of 20. Well, I think that was about £30. Would I trust it on a project that I've invested a lot of time, effort, and a not inconsiderate amount of money in? Probably not. But for projects like this, where it's all about experimentation and trying new ideas and things, it is absolutely perfect. Now, I'm going to put a bit more paint in there because I think we are a little bit thinner heavy now. So let's pop it in there. Let's get the AK Real Color. Let's get my Tamiya mixing thing. So we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 of that will be enough. Because these AK paints are very pigment heavy. And sometimes it's literally just one drop suddenly makes the difference between it spraying a little bit watery to suddenly being a little bit thick, and then you have to adjust it with a drop or two of lacquer thinner. But anyway, there we go. What do you do on Tuesday night? Oh, I've no idea. I watched some bloke from Dudley wittering on about airbrush mixing ratios. Yeah, anyway, that sounds good. It sounds a little bit raspy, actually, but we will... that's a perfect mix now. And I always tend to, when I'm airbrushing, keep a continuous flow. And I tend to tilt the model slightly to the light so I can actually see the paint going on, because then you get a much better idea of the coverage, and you can see whether you're putting too much on or not. But that is absolutely dead on mix, that. Oops, a little bit heavy there, but never mind. There we go. In fact, you can see how much more pigment has come in in that mix, because how much darker he is in terms of the tone. So look at this fella, that's it. That's all I need to do with them. So let's go back to the Chevy on the levee. Let's have a look. Got some areas that we need to get a bit more paint on. Just top that up. Now you're probably wondering about the undersides. Have I painted the undersides? I have, but they're so, as you can see, this is where the wargaming element of this comes in. They are so basic. I'm going to cover them with paint, but I'm not going to do any kind of weathering. If this was a full detail thing, I probably would indulge myself with some weathering and stuff. But because this is literally curbside, I'm not going to worry about it. And my paint pressure, by the way, is about, bear with, it is about, oh, it's a bit too high actually. Let's take it down to about 20 psi. It had crept up for some reason. In fact, on the underside here was where I was testing mixes out, and in some places it's a little bit gritty. It's got that kind of slightly rough texture to it, but in some respects, actually looks like weathering. Actually looks a little bit like texture of sand. So I'm not going to lose any sleep over that whatsoever. And in fact, we are actually coming to the end of this particular color mix. So I just need to cover some more paint there. But boy, do these MIG shaders want to keep creeping back through the paintwork. So as I say, lesson learned there, that they are more for post shading and not for pre-shading, unless you're after specific effects, in which actually that they really could be quite useful for that. But I'm not going to worry about covering that too much in the back there, because there'll be more weathering and stuff going in there. And the same with the bonnet there. I don't find that shading objectionable, but I might just take it back a little bit more. And we also have a gun mount to paint before I forget. So, if anybody ever has the misfortune, and trust me, it will be a misfortune, to endure myself and a certain South Somerset correspondent watching people airbrush on YouTube videos, the one thing that absolutely drives us nuts is people when they're trying to spray large areas and they're kind of going, it's like, just get the paint down, for goodness sake. I know, it's their workbench, their rules, but there is actually a good reason why a continuous flow of paint is better for your models. So, see, still that shader ink is still wanting to bleed through, so we'll that'll do. That will do. Now, what I am going to do is I just need to change, because I'm going to change colors in a second. So we're just going to back flush that a bit and give the model a decent, be careful not to upset the paint, give it a decent blitzing with some lacquer thinner, which does help to smooth things down. Now, I'm not going to pick that up with my bare hands. I'm going to gently move it over there. So that's really kind of like the end of the stage for the basic painting on that one. The rest from here on in is going to be detail painting and then weathering, but we'll cover that at another stage. And so what have I got here? I've got here, top tip. Now this is khaki green number 3 from AK Real Colors. Do you know what? I actually think this is a very nice dark earth color. Probably a nicer dark earth color than their dark earth. But anyway, we're going to see a few drops of that in there. And then I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4 drops of that in there. Give that a good stir, and then we'll adjust from there. So pop that in there, bit of gentle back flushing. That seems all right. So what we've got here, why have I done that? Well, I've got here the little Esche Sherman, Churchill. Sherman. Got Sherman's on the brain because I've got that Zvezda one coming up in the next few weeks, and I'm really looking forward to it. So this is the old Esche Churchill, which I gave it a base coat of this khaki, and then went in there with the shader again. And as you can see, it's absolutely bled through the blending coat. So we're going to put another blending coat on top again and see if we can knock it back a bit. So don't want to get rid of it entirely, but I just want to diffuse it a little bit. And again, people probably think, well, why did you do that? Why, what on earth were you thinking? Me thinking. Just experimenting. I just wanted to see what would happen. Yeah, that's knocking it back quite nicely. Let's just flip it around that way. Actually, we'll take you out. We don't need you at the moment. Come on, out you come. Yeah, because what that means is we can use that as a useful. Now, what I might do with this Churchill is actually go a little bit retro with it, and rather than employing modern day techniques, I might go real old school and actually dry brush and weather this in the Verlinden style, given those were the techniques in vogue when I last made this back in 1980. Yeah, exactly. So that's good. That's toned that down a little bit now. It's a little bit dark, but yeah, as I say, you've got to experiment with these things. And now I'm just going to go back over the turret, blend that back a bit again. And would you believe that's actually the end of that paint? So that's served a purpose. It's fine. Excellent. So again, what I'm going to do is just load that up with some thinner. So effectively, what I'm doing is I'm cleaning the airbrush out, but I'm actually making sure that the thinner is going to a good purpose as well. Bear with, I just need to grab a. Aha. This is why there's no clothes pegs on my washing line. So again, we're using the thinner to smooth the paint down a bit more. As I say, usually I would just be blasting this into this, but I waste it. It's going to have a little bit of the residual of the base color, so we may as well make it earn its keep. And like I say, this is on a really quite low pressure, so I can't even smell this. If I was painting something like a 48 scale Tomcat, it would be in the paint booth, I'd be wearing a mask, and we'd have the extractor fans on. But this is such small scale painting, and I've got the windows open, that I can't even smell this. So safety first, as always. So that's it. That will do. We've got a little bit left in there, but I'm actually going to keep that in there to keep the airbrush lubricated, quite frankly. We'll just give the bodywork a quick wipe round with some thinner. One more small tip for tonight is sometimes you will get paint building up within the inside of the nozzle on airbrushes, and that's when it can start spitting and spattering on it. So on occasions I do take the needle protector off, and that's all it really is. It's a needle protector, and spray with that on its own. If I'm doing kind of like larger areas, I'll take the protector off, but when I'm doing small scale work like this, I'll keep it on. So let's poppy back on eventually. There we go. Give you a wipe out. And a bit more fresh thinner. Back flush. Into the airbrush station and back. Gonna get the wires crossed. Back over there. So that's where we are with that. Like I say, it's probably still a little bit over stylized, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. I think sometimes you just got to try things. They're going to be mistakes, but you just got to try them. Anyway, let's go back. Let's go back to me. Hello, me. Let's play catch up on the comments on the audio. Brilliant. Everybody's saying. Mark Smith says loud and clear, no echo. Excellent. Tim Campbell sounds loud and clear, no echo. James Smith says audio all good. Jimbo Solar. Hello, Jimbo Solar says nice and crisp. Mike Stofko says sound loud and clear. Sounds loud and clear, Jonathan. Well, I'm like that without a microphone, but I think I put Brian Blessed to shame. Paul Milligan says evening sounds great. Empor Lloyd says I was 22 in 1980. Yeah, I was 13. And David Murray says, "Gore blimey, Governor, it's a pop-up." It is a pop-up, but we're going to pop off in a minute. And Dave Murray says, "I was very impressive audio that was." Thank you, Andrew Hills. And Dave Murray says, "I was 4." Yeah, right. No, I'm sorry. And Graham Slingsby says, "Great transmission, even reaches here in Oz. Lol." Right. Okay. Well, that's good. We know that this is. Hello. We know this works, so that's fine. That does away with me having to use other microphones at the moment. And so the test is going to be if we're doing a live tomorrow night, which is depending on schedules at the moment. But the test will be how it performs when we've got 2 people. But I'm hoping it's going to sort out some of the audio issues we sometimes have. And the other thing I need to do is this old thing here, my little Logitech. I do need to get a much better camera, because not only do I want to stream some of this stuff better, and we might be going over to the HD service with this, is also I really want to start doing some the little shorts, the little very, very short 2-3 minute videos that we can put up on the channel. So it's all investment, but other than that, it's now just gone 7:15. This is only going to be a quick pop-up, and we've had 30 minutes, so there we go. So audio test, we've done some modeling, actual modeling. So thank you to everybody who's tuned in for tonight. You know, it's not added anything to your lives, but other than don't do what I do. Beyond that, fingers crossed we'll be back tomorrow night, but I don't know. Like I say, we've got some schedules to sort out at the moment. But in the meantime, as ever, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very, very soon. So bye for now.